Hello, everybody. Welcome to part 9 of my Playbill videos on the YNTAAY minis, soon to get a new name. We're starting with a trip that I took to New York way back in August of 2006. It was August 16th. It was a Wednesday, the 2 p.m. show of The Wedding Singer. Now, The Wedding Singer is a show that I really enjoyed. I loved the movie with Adam Sandler, and I must say the musical was quite a treat. Now, here's the inside of the program. Now, the music is by Matthew Sklar. The book is by Chad Begillin and Tim Herlihy. The lyrics are by Chad Begillin. It's based on the New Line Cinema film, written by Tim Herlihy. And it starred Stephen Lynch and Laura Benanti. But we didn't have Laura Benanti because she was having all sorts of throat problems during the run of this show. And she was out a lot. I love Laura Benanti. She is one of the most marvelous actresses. And she is so beautiful and such an amazing singer. So I remember was a little disappointed that we didn't have her. It was at the Al Hirschfeld Theater. But boy, it was not a disappointment. We had Tina Madigan, and she played Julia Sullivan. You know, if Julia marries Glenn, she'll be Julia Gulia. And at that performance, the role of Linda was performed by Nicolette Hart. Now, I believe my friend Marco, who was now my roommate, but then he was just my friend, he was also in the New York area, and we met up that day and went to see The Wedding Singer, and he enjoyed it as well. Here's Tina Madigan. Amy Spanger was in it. Felicia Finley was out that day. Kevin Cahoon, who played the child catcher when I saw Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, was I think he played the child catcher, right? He was in it as George. And Richard H. Blake, who you all remember from Legally Blonde, the musical, was Glenn. He always plays those jerky boyfriends. Wonder why he gets such roles. I just love The Wedding Singer. The music is so peppy, and who doesn't love the 80s? That's one of my favorite times to have lived. Well, that night I saw The Lieutenant of Inishmore. It was at the Lyceum Theater, and look, I paid $59.25 for that ticket. It was the 8 p.m. show, August 16th. Here is the Playbill. Marvelous play. The Lieutenant of Inishmore is by Martin McDonough. And it's a very violent play. A very black comedy. So gory. I mean, blood is flowing all over the place. This man's cat. Now I don't remember exactly now how it happened. The hitman's cat is killed, and these people try to cover it up and replace the cat with another cat. I think gets run over, and then he comes to town and starts killing all the people who killed his cat. Something like that. But I mean, everybody is pretty much murdered before your very eyes on the stage. Blood is running off the stage. It was so ridiculous. Here's the cast. It was so ridiculous. It's set in 1993 on the island of Inishmore in the county of Galway. was so ridiculous that the woman next to me, we just looked at each other and shook with laughter. That's what I miss so much about live theater or even movie theaters. You could just have that experience with people and just laugh with them. Oh, I'm so sorry. And cry with them. Oh, I miss it so much. Well, speaking of crying, here's one of my favorite shows of all time. I mean, it is top 20, which you'll see when I do my top 20 of all time favorite shows. Title of Show. Now, when I first heard the CD for Title of Show, I drove all the way at lunchtime from work, went to a Virgin Mega Store in West Hollywood. It's no longer there. And I got this CD, and it immediately spoke to me. It's just so wacky. And I saw it off Broadway at the Vineyard Theater. And here's the program. It's not even a playbill. The music is by, and the lyrics are by Jeff Bowen. The book is by Hunter Bell. And it also starred them and Heidi Blickenstaff and Susan Blackwell. Why, their pictures aren't even in this program. But I could not believe it when I first heard this show. Now, it's the musical about two friends who write a musical, or they're writing a musical, to get it into a festival. And they're just writing to see what they come up with. And they came up with pure gold. And it's just a fun show. I'm going to speak more about it in a little bit. And then also on that trip the next day, Friday, August 18th, I saw Martin Short, Fame Becomes Me. Now look, it is signed by Martin Short, and Carpathia Jenkins also signed it. Now I remember, because Carpathia Jenkins, I love her. She was in The Look of Love. She was also in The Civil War. Those are the ones that I really remember seeing her in. Here's the inside page. It also had in music and arrangements by Mark Shaman, so it was exciting. I think Mark Shaman was there playing. There he is, Mark Shaman of Hairspray and so many things. Smash. It also had Mary Birdsong, Brooks Ashmanskas. There's Carpathia Jenkins. Love her. Yeah. Aisha DeHaas was in it. Everybody was wonderful. And Martin Short, what a thrill to see such a legend. A fun little show. It's not anything that I really revisit in my CD collection. But, yeah, it was fun to see. Now, that was a short trip. Then I think I flew to West Virginia. But then I had to go back in September because Title of Show was ending, and I had to see it again. So I flew back in September 30th of 2006. This was a weekend trip, I believe. So that was the 2 p.m. show of A Chorus Line, which I had always wanted to see. If I could go back in time, I would go back to see, maybe even at the Public Theater when A Chorus Line first started there, off Broadway. But I would want to see it also on Broadway at the Schubert Theater with the original cast. That's what I would do if I could time travel. I would also try and warn Anita Bryant, oh Lord God, Amelia Earhart not to make that trip. Anita Bryant, she's on her own. Chorus Line was revived in 2006, I guess. Might have been the 2005-2006 season. But anyway, at the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater, here it is. And I'm still chuckling over Anita Bryant. Now, this revival had an all-star cast. Michael Buress, who directed Title of Show. He was in it. so many people. They made this documentary about called well, now I can't remember what it's called, but about the casting of this show. It had so many people. Charlotte Dembois was in it. Deirdre Goodwin. Who else? So many of our favorites. Mara Davy, who was, it wasn't she on Smash? Yeah, Jason Tam was a standout in that cast. Yeah, so many people. Tony Yazbek was in it. It was just it's a chorus line. I mean, my goodness, it's a classic. I hope I get this job. Please let me get this job. I really need this job. Okay, I don't get this job. I know. Yeah, so that was a thrill just to see it, the revival. Then I hightailed it back downtown to the Vineyard Theater for the 5 o'clock show of Title of Show. This was September 30th. Still no playbill, no pictures inside. But this time I met the cast. Here I am with Hunter and Jeff. Look how fat I was then. I mean, I'm not judging. No body shaming there. It's my body. It's my body, and my body's nobody's business but my own. The life. Anyway, yeah, but I was very chunky then. I ate my emotions. So Hunter Bell and Jeff Bowen, and then the rest of the cast is there. Susan Blackwell, Heidi Blickenstaff, and Larry Pressgrove. Oh, this show changed my life, y'all. So much so, I had to go see it again at 8 o'clock. So, I even took my book, The Unfortunates by C.A. Smythe, available on Amazon.com for cheap. Well, if you get it used. Yeah, I even took it as gifts for the cast. I hope they didn't burn them later that night. So here I was again at the show. And then I went to see the next day, and I'm going to do a whole separate episode on Title of Show and how much it changed my life. I mean, just the fact that they tell you to write what you know and what you love. And there's a song called Die Vampires Die, which means to push the vampires in your head away that are like, you can't do that. And the vampires of negative thinking and the people in your life that are the vampires. It really has changed my life. Of course, I haven't been writing lately because there was a pandemic and I'm like, what's the point? But that's a different episode too. The next day I went to see The Wedding Singer. Back to the Al Hirschfeld Theater. Same playbill. Just some different castmates. Now Tina Madigan has gone into the show for real, replacing Laura Benanti. And Tina was there. And I was really excited because Konstantin Maroulis, one of my favorites from American Idol, had gone into the role of, oh gosh, what's the guy's name from The Wedding Singer? Well, anyway, the lead dude, as his best friend. Robbie Hart is the guy who's the wedding singer. And so I'm very excited to see Konstantin Maroulis. And then I get to the box office, and wouldn't you know, at this performance, the role played by Sammy, that's Konstantin Maroulis, will be played by Matt Allen. Devastation. But I'm sure Matt Allen was very good, and I sat really close so I could see Konstantin sweat, and he wasn't there. Here's a new addition to the cast. Welcome. And the roles usually played by David Josephsberg are played by Andy Carl, who I just love. Andy Carl is one of my favorites now. You know he's married to Orphe. And I saw him in Altar Boys off Broadway. So, yeah, so it was wonderful seeing The Wedding Singer again, even without Konstantin. That night, I went to the Richard Rogers Theater, one of my favorite theaters on the Broadway, and I saw one of the worst shows ever. Spoiler alert if you ever watch my upcoming episode about my least favorite shows. Now, great artwork, beautiful poster, the green and the swirly. It's Tarzan, the musical from Disney. Oh my God, y'all. Tarzan was never one of my favorites anyway. But this show, I just thought it was ugly. I mean, it looked ugly. No offense to the designers. Now, it had Jen Gambatese, sorry to mispronounce your name, who's in Mrs. Doubtfire the musical when it comes back. It had Josh Strickland, who was wonderful as Tarzan. I just didn't like the execution. Merle Dandridge was in it. Shuler Hensley from Young Frankenstein. I mean, Chester Gregory II. It had a wonderful cast. Some good songs. I just didn't like the costumes with those furry legs for the... No, I just... Oh. And I just didn't like the execution. They were bouncing around on these bungee cord things. Boing, boing, boing. Oh, no. Okay. So then I flew away after that. But then I returned, because I bought dinner with the cast of Title of Show on like an auction thing to benefit the Vineyard Theater. So I had to go back even though it was January. And I'll do a whole video about my dinner with the Title of Show people. I mean, that was a million years ago. It was 2007. I even have video footage of it somewhere. But, so I went back on January 7th, 2007, and I stopped that afternoon at the Barrymore Theater, and I saw Company. Here it is, the Raul Esparza Company. You know, this was one of those, again, like that Sweeney Todd, where they play their own instruments. I just don't like it when they play their own instruments, y'all. And of course, it had an amazing cast, and it had Raul Esparza. It had, so many. Barbara Walsh was in this one as Joanne. Here's to the ladies who lunch. Yeah. Just, it was fine. Guess who was there that day? In the audience, Gussie, my friend Gussie, who does those videos with me. Well, she hasn't in well over a year because there was a pandemic. But, yeah, she was there with her mother. Oh, and I sat upstairs in the theater at the Ethel Barrymore, and it was winter because it was January. And there was like this, one of those wall, what are they called? Those wall heater things. And it hissed through the whole show. I don't know why you would have a hissing heater on during a show, but it was like shh. So they were like, door drums, in comes company, dun dun shh. Oh no! Then that evening, I went and had dinner with the cast of Title of Show. It wasn't Michael, because Michael the director, because he was doing a chorus line on Broadway. But I did have dinner with Hunter and Jeff and Susan and Larry and Heidi Blickenstaff. It was one of the best nights of my life. And it was at Shades of Green, which is right across the street from the Vineyard Theater. Title of Show had closed by then. So then after the dinner, I was able to find an 11 p.m. show. It's so faded now. Of the Evil Dead musical. It was off-Broadway. It was at New World Stages. It's based on the movie Evil Dead. Oh, look. This card fell out. Text Ash. And look at the phone. The old-fashioned phone on the little card. Isn't that funny? It's one of those slide... It's not a flip phone, but it's a slide phone. So don't forget to text Ash, y'all, to 43077 for special ticket discounts and insider at Evil Dead the Musical info. Wonder what happens if we would text that now. Would rates apply? Here's the musical. It's a fun little musical. Book and lyrics by George Reinblatt. music by a lot of people. Frank, Christopher, Melissa, George. There they all are. Nobody's really jumping out at me who was in the cast. There's the whole cast list. No offense to them. They had a splatter zone in this show, and I think you could wear little raincoat things to keep from getting splattered on. I moved back, so I didn't want to get blood all over me. But yes, that was a fun show. Evil Dead the Musical. I would pay to see it again. Then the next day, I went to see Grey Gardens at 3 p.m., the musical, based on the old documentary about Jacqueline Kennedy's relatives, Jacqueline Bouvier's relatives, who lived in squalor in an old mansion. The mother and her eccentric daughter. It was at the Walter Kerr Theater. Christine Ebersole was in it. Look, this fell out. But don't worry. Christine Ebersole was there. Here's pictures. The music isn't my favorite. I'm sorry. Here's the inside. It's a book by Doug Wright, music by Scott Frankel, lyrics by Michael Corey. Mary Louise Wilson was also in it with Christine Ebersole. Christine Ebersole, it was a game changer, this performance. But the show is not my favorite. And then I saw it when it came to the Amundsen years ago. And, yeah, it's not my favorite. The last show I saw on that trip, January 21st, 2007, that evening, I saw Spring Awakening at the Eugene O'Neill Theater. This was the original Broadway cast. Here is the program. I mean, everybody was in this show. Leah Michele, Skylar Astin was in it. Lily Cooper, who was in Tootsie. Jennifer Damiano. Gosh, it's a who's who. Jonathan Groff was in it. John Gallagher Jr. Gideon Glick. Christine Estabrook was in it. Remember from Desperate Housewives. Yeah, I mean, there's Leah Michele. That was before we knew that she had bad behavior. Though I still like Leah Michele. I really do. Steven Spinella was in it. But it was just so different. I love the music in this show. The book and lyrics are Stephen Sater. Music is by Duncan Sheik. I love Duncan Sheik. It's based on the play by Frank Wedekind. Here you go. And it was directed by Michael Mayer. Spring Awakening, one of my favorites. But will it make my top 20 list? We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, so that was that trip. And then I flew back to Los Angeles and probably went to see Legends soon after at the Wilshire Theater, starring Linda Evans and Joan Collins. Yeah, but that's a story for another time. I don't know why it's in this collection. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Sorry this video is so long. Oh, okay, goodbye.